Jordan Anthony just did something that seemed impossible. A 21-year-old kid from Mississippi, in his first international competition, just beat Noah Lyles at his own game. Not at football, not at a local track meet, at the World Athletics Indoor Championships. And he did it so dominantly that track experts are still trying to figure out how this happened. Let me break down how an unknown college athlete became a world champion. Anthony grew up in Tylertown, Mississippi, a small town where Friday night lights meant everything. At Tylertown High School, he was that rare athlete who could dominate on both the football field and the running track. As a wide receiver, he had the speed and hands that college scouts dream about. But on the track, he was something else entirely. At 17, Anthony proved he wasn't just fast for a football player. He won the U.S. under 2,200-meter title at the USA Outdoor Championships. That's when college coaches started paying attention. The University of Kentucky came calling, offering him the chance to continue both sports at the Division I level. Most athletes would pick one sport and focus entirely on that. Anthony decided to do both. During his freshman year at Kentucky, he spent fall afternoons catching passes from the quarterback, then winter mornings flying around indoor tracks. The demanding schedule would have broken most people, but Anthony seemed to thrive on the chaos. His track times kept dropping even while he was maintaining his football commitments. Coaches started wondering what would happen if he focused solely on sprinting. But Anthony wasn't ready to give up the gridiron just yet. After his freshman season, Anthony made a crucial decision. He transferred to the University of Arkansas, a school known for its powerhouse track and field program. The Razorbacks had a history of developing world-class sprinters, and Anthony wanted to be next in line. At Arkansas, Anthony's potential finally started to show. He set school records in both the 60 meters and 100 meters. His versatility was becoming clear too, as he dominated the 200 meters at the SEC Championships in May 2025. The kid who used to split his focus was now becoming a complete sprinter. Then came the breakthrough season of 2025. Anthony claimed both the NCAA indoor 60-meter title and the outdoor 100-meter title. For any college athlete, winning one NCAA title is the dream. Anthony won two in the same year. His dominance earned him the Bowerman, college track and field's highest individual honor. But Anthony was starting to outgrow the college level. Professional scouts were circling, and the question wasn't if he'd turn pro, but when. At the end of 2025, Anthony made the decision that would change everything. He left the University of Arkansas, signed with Adidas, and turned professional. But more importantly, he made a move that would put him in direct competition with the world's fastest man. Anthony relocated to Claremont, Florida, to train with an elite group that included Noah Lyles, the reigning Olympic 100-meter champion. For most young sprinters, training with Lyles would be intimidating. For Anthony, it was just another challenge to embrace. The transition from college to professional wasn't smooth at first. Anthony had never needed to train for track during the fall before, having always focused on football during that season. His first professional races were solid but not spectacular. Third-place finishes at major indoor meets didn't exactly announce his arrival on the world stage. But then something clicked at the Tyson Invitational. Anthony clocked a world-leading 6.43 in the 60 meters, suddenly putting him at the top of the global rankings. The track world started taking notice of the kid from Mississippi. The real test came at the USA Track and Field Indoor Championships on Staten Island in early March. This wasn't just any domestic competition. Noah Lyles was entered in the 60 meters, along with veteran sprinter Trayvon Bromell, who had won the world indoor title 10 years earlier. On paper, Anthony was the underdog. Lyles was the Olympic champion. Bromell had been there before, but Anthony had something his competitors didn't expect: the fearlessness that comes from having nothing to lose. When the gun went off, Anthony exploded from the blocks with the kind of start that football had taught him. By the time they hit the 50-meter mark, he was already pulling away from the field. He crossed the line in 6.45. defeating both Lyles and Bromell to claim his first U.S. title. After the race, Lyles was gracious in defeat, even handing Anthony a championship belt. But you could see in the Olympic champion's eyes that he knew something special was happening. Anthony wasn't just another fast college kid, he was the real deal. The victory qualified Anthony for the World Indoor Championships in Torun, Poland. For most athletes, making their first World Championships is nerve-wracking enough. For Anthony, there was an added layer of pressure. This would be his first time leaving the United States. Ever. Anthony had actually been supposed to travel internationally before to compete at the World Under-20 Championships in Colombia, but he chose to stay home and focus on his football commitments at the time. Now, with a fresh passport and world-leading credentials, he was finally ready to test himself against global competition. The field in Poland was loaded with talent. Jamaica's Kishane Thompson, the world and Olympic 100-meter silver medalist, was entered. Britain's defending champion Jeremiah Azu had looked sharp in the preliminaries. And Trayvon Bromell was seeking redemption after a decade of injuries and setbacks. But Anthony seemed unfazed by the competition or the international stage. In the semifinals, he cruised through with ease, looking relaxed and confident. The kid who had never been outside America was acting like he belonged on the world's biggest stage. Before the final, Anthony made a bold statement to the media. He said his goal wasn't just to win, but to break Christian Coleman's world record of 6.34. The confidence was striking coming from someone making their international debut. When the 8 fastest men in the world lined up for the final, Anthony found himself in lane 6, surrounded by seasoned veterans. The arena in Turin was electric, packed with European fans who had never heard of the American newcomer. The race lasted just over 6 seconds, but those seconds changed everything. Anthony got out of the blocks like a rocket, using the explosive power he'd developed playing football. By 30 meters, he was leading the field. At 50 meters, the race was effectively over. Anthony crossed the finish line in 6.41, a new world-leading time and fast enough to make him the joint 4th fastest man in history indoors. Thompson took silver in 6.45, edging out Bromell, who took bronze by just 1,000th of a second. After the race, Anthony was almost casual in his celebration. "God put this dog in me," he told reporters. "I'm going to always release the dog when it's time to be released." The confidence wasn't arrogance. It was the quiet assurance of someone who had always believed this moment would come. Bromell, the veteran who had won this same title 10 years earlier, was philosophical about losing to the youngster. "Looking at Jordan, I see a mirror image of myself from 10 years ago," he said. "You don't see too many talents like him." The victory made Anthony the 4th youngest man ever to win the World Indoor 60-meter title, joining a list that includes Justin Gatlin and Bromell himself. But more than the records or the rankings, the win announced Anthony as a serious contender for the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028. Training with Lyles in Florida, Anthony has developed the kind of competitive fire that championship sprinting demands. The two training partners regularly engage in trash talking that pushes both of them to new levels. "The sport is soft if we don't," Anthony explained about their competitive banter. But beyond the confidence and the natural speed, Anthony brings something unique to elite sprinting: the mentality of a football player. Years of catching passes over the middle, knowing defenders were coming to hit him, gave him a fearlessness that translates perfectly to the starting line of a sprint race. As Anthony looks ahead to the outdoor season and eventually the Paris Olympics, the track world is starting to realize they're witnessing the emergence of something special. The kid who used to play 2 sports in small-town Mississippi is now positioned to become the face of American sprinting.